So then, I think it's time that we get back to Battlefield 5, and I'm going to bring you up to speed on what DICE is currently working on. Today, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update to the roadmap for the game, the number of maps that we're going to be getting moving forwards over the next few months, and the first of these is called Mercury, and it's just about a month or so now until this one is due to drop in the game. Mercury is going to take us to a brand new location. We're going to Greece and the island of Crete. Mercury is going to depict the action that occurred during Operation Mercury, where the Germans launched a massive aerial assault on the island of Crete, which at the time was being defended by Greek forces, locals, and a mix of other allied forces. We also know about another map called Marita, which again is releasing in Chapter 4. It's going to be arriving in July, and it's the second one to come from the Greece location, so it's somewhat linked to Mercury, but this time, this map takes place on the Albanian-Greek border on the mainland, so the setting is going to be completely different. It's going to be this autumnal feeling, lots of mountains going on, and apparently you're going to be able to hear the distant war in the background. And then there's the Urban Combat map. We still don't really know what this map is yet, but DICE claims that veterans of the franchise are going to love it. And that again is coming in Chapter 4. It's at least another confirmation of another standard multiplayer map. The upcoming 5v5 mode, I think called Close Quarters at the moment, or something like that, that's also coming in Chapter 4, that's supposedly now going to have more than one map as well. The Battlefield website alludes to more than one map being added, but without an actual number being stated, it isn't totally clear at the moment. It's also not 100% clear if the maps for this 5v5 mode will be exclusive to the mode, only working with it, or not. But the Battlefield website does say the maps have been curated for the mode itself. It's kind of carefully worded, so it doesn't rule out the scenario that it could be available on all game modes, and it's also cleverly worded not to annoy a bunch of players that a 5v5 game mode got special maps created for it that won't be available in other game modes. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. And then, after those maps in Chapter 3 and 4, we have the brand new Theatre of War being added in Chapter 5, Awakening the Beast. This has been all but officially confirmed as the Pacific Theatre. There's plenty of references to Japanese and American vehicles and weapons in the game files. But now, thanks to community manager Jeff Brannock, we know that this new Theatre of War, whatever it's going to be, because it's still not officially been confirmed, will be arriving in September/October. Previously, this was pegged as a fall 2019 release, which was rather vague, but now we know something a little bit more concrete. This new Pacific Theatre is likely going to introduce several new maps of its own as well. We're going to be supporting Japanese and American forces on different maps. No number has been released by DICE yet, but I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say it's going to be more than one or two. The Pacific Theatre includes some extremely iconic battle locations, and I think DICE, with the less than stellar reaction to the maps and locations that they've included in this game so far, they would probably do well to capitalise on this new location and throw out some of those iconic battles for us to experience. So we have the Mercury map and the Marita map making up the Greek location. Then we have the Urban Combat map, which we still don't know the name of yet. More than one map for the 5v5 game mode coming in Chapter 4, and if you believe the data miners, there could be up to 5 maps for that 5v5 game mode, and then, likely, several new maps for the Pacific Theatre coming in the autumn. That takes the map count up quite significantly for Battlefield 5, which is great news for players like us that are still interested in the game, but the question does remain is whether those players that are left sticking around are going to carry on sticking around long enough to see DICE finally bring new maps to Battlefield 5. Matt Wagner, one of the DICE level designers for Battlefield 5, he confirmed on Twitter over the weekend that the team currently working on Battlefield 5 has more maps in development at this moment in time than in any other point during any post-launch content service for any previous Battlefield game. So it seems like they've got a lot of content waiting to be released or is in the final stages of being polished up, ready for release. And he didn't elaborate on why it's taken this long to get to this point where these maps are finally going to start releasing, but he did at least acknowledge that he understands the community is really waiting for maps now. But I think in general it's quite obvious why it's now taken this long. Battlefield 5 just didn't have enough full development time before the launch of the game, and that caused all of the post-launch content, all of the maps, weapons, everything that DICE was working on for the live service of the game to be pushed back. And that would allow the team that was going to work on that content to work on the base game and get that out as soon as possible to meet that November deadline. And you have to remember that Battlefield 5 was intended to come out in October, but there was an extra month given to the team to try and do what they could to the game before it launched. Once the game did then launch, the team had to start their work from much further back for the live service from where they'd actually planned to be. So everything got shunted back even further for a release. And it's a situation that I really hope DICE and EA learn from in the future. It's been quite disappointing, this live service so far, and I think that simply comes from a lack of time that the development team had to finish the base game. Had they been given more time, perhaps this live service would be more on track than it currently is. And as an example, if you go back to the This Is Battlefield 5 trailer that was released in September 2018, 5 days after the game was delayed until November, the voiceover in that trailer stated that the Greece location would debut in Chapter 2 in early 2019, not Chapter 3 in mid-2019, as events have now transpired. That to me says that the team was under just an immense amount of pressure to finish content for the base game, which hadn't yet launched, and they were kind of scrabbling to get it over the finish line, that anything that was in the future, all of that content planned for the live service, that wasn't a priority anymore. There just wasn't enough time to get the game finished, and as such, the live service has now suffered quite a lot. Okay, moving on to some other things now. A brand new patch is dropping for Battlefield 5 tomorrow, and of course, I've got the patch notes right here. There's going to be some updates coming to the game that I think you guys will be excited about, and I'm going to list off as many as I can in this video, probably just the most important ones. So first of all, Drunksy and the team, they've been hard at work improving some of the player controls in the game, and the team is now ready to introduce a control to the combat roll animation that happens when you drop from a certain height. Now when you're falling, you'll be able to hit a button and activate the combat roll animation rather than it happening automatically. The roll will stop you taking so much damage, but you'll be unable to control your gun until the animation is finished. Now if you don't hit the button and you just land straight on the ground, you're going to hit the ground pretty hard and you will take more damage, but you'll have instant control of your weapon, so you've now got a choice in that situation, which is great. Maybe if there's no danger about, you do the combat roll because you don't need instant control of your gun. If there are enemy players around and you want to try and get a couple of shots off the moment you hit the ground, don't activate the animation, take the health hit, but you'll be able to fire your gun straight away. I'm really looking forward to trying that one out. Secondly, we're going to see some Firestorm-specific updates, and no, one of them is not looting has been updated further. That's going to take a little bit longer. First of all, DICE is now fully in control of the mode after taking over Criterion, and it seems their first big update is to improve the victory screen. There's a clip here so that you can see the improvement. Looks much better, right? Certainly a more epic sounding finish to a round. Just the addition of some epic music can do a lot. I'm looking at you, reveal trailer. The amount of armor plates that you can carry is being increased up to 5, and this is to make sure that towards the end of rounds that players have armor that they can call upon when they're likely to get into more gunfights more often as the zone is shrinking down. And it also means that during the mid-game, players will feel they can actually get involved in the action without risking all of their stored plates and then having none of them left for fights after that. Player health whilst downed is being increased from 200 to 300, and whilst that sounds quite drastic, there is some method behind the madness. The incentive to finish off a downed player with just 200 health, at the moment according to DICE, is too tempting for most players, so that's why they're upping the health to 300, so you as the player have to make a more important choice. Do you mag dump the guy, make a lot of noise and then get rid of them, or do you stay quiet, maybe move away and look for the rest of their squad? That's a much more important choice to make rather than just flicking a few bullets into the guy on the ground and getting his gear. Now you're probably going to make a lot more noise upping that health to 300. And thankfully, more XP will be handed out when playing the Firestorm game mode to bring it in line with other game modes available in Battlefield 5. That was a big criticism of Firestorm when it first came out. The XP reward just wasn't there. DICE is now updating that, so that's good news for everybody. Some weapon changes now for SMGs and assault rifles specifically. DICE has changed the way that bullet dispersion increases whilst firing in ADS. Now, the second, third and sometimes fourth bullets for low rate of fire weapons are now more predictable, whilst later shots are less predictable. DICE has also shortened the time it takes for dispersion to decrease when no longer firing. And this means that short bursts will be more effective, and longer bursts or mag dumps, those will be less effective. Now, to me, this sounds like a change that you should be able to feel when you're playing the game tomorrow after the update is applied, and if it is that big of a change, I will probably follow up with a video later this week. This could have a big impact on how SMGs and assault rifles play in Battlefield 5. And DICE is also changing the way that camera recoil works. When firing, weapons are now allowed to go a bit more off-center. The true point of aim will follow the weapon, and it's not fixed to the center of the screen. And again, this sounds like quite an important change once the patch goes live, so if it does have a big impact on gameplay, expect a video later this week. And quite an interesting change for gadgets here, or grenades. The thickness of smoke has been increased and coverage has been made more even for standard smoke grenades. So that to me says that smoke grenades just got quite a large buff. So I'll equip some of those tomorrow and I'll let you guys how much buff it really got. And the camera shake slider has been added to the advanced gameplay options menu. That's going to allow you to scale up or down the strength of camera shake from things like explosions. The default value will be set to 75, but the slider will go down to 50% and up to 100%. So 50% if you're a keen player, 100% if you want epic cinematicness. And lastly for this video, a really important change. Did you know that many Swedish pizzerias sell a pizza with grilled chicken, banana, peanuts and curry sauce on it? Apparently, it's a much better choice than pineapple pizza. But there you go, that's it for today's video. We've wrapped up some of the patch that's going live tomorrow, so expect a video on that when the patch goes live and I'll update you guys on how things feel. And we learned that there are going to be at least 5 maps releasing in the next 4 or 5 months or so for Battlefield 5, with the potential for several more to come in the autumn when the Pacific Theatre finally arrives. The future is finally starting to look bright for Battlefield 5. Let me know what you think of all this information down below in the comments section. Does it give you hope, or are you still waiting for DICE to just simply produce the goods that they've been working on? Let me know down in the comments. So make sure you check out our channel sponsor as well, Elgato, for all of your streaming and recording hardware needs. There's a link at the top of the description that will take you to their product pages. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.